This is the capstone episode of the series on responder raises. We're going to look at ways to reach a good contract without going overboard. Let's start by looking at our one bid responder hands. 5 to a bad 10, thereabouts. So partner's opened a spade and you have supported with 2 spades. Why not? And now partner bids a new suit at the 3 level. What's that? That's a game try. Partner wants you to either go to 4 spades or 3 spades after reevaluating your hand in light of his try. You look at your hand and say, well, boy, that ace of clubs has got to be worthwhile. And the fact that I'm doubleton in clubs can't hurt. And I've got 4 spades to the king. That's worth 4 to me. And it should go all pass from here. Now let's look at a different variation of this. Looks like the same auction, except whoops! Now West has jumped in with 3 hearts, and why not? This time he's not vulnerable and you are. Seems like a reasonable thing to do. Getting away a little bit. And now your partner North has doubled. What is that? And this is an important little feature that I failed to mention when I was first recording this. Notice that the heart suit is the suit directly below the one that you and your partner have agreed. In this case, spades. There's no room for a help suit game try. Therefore, the double takes its place. Had there been a suit between their suit and our suit, that one would be used to make the game try and double would be penalty. Important distinction. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. That's called a maximal double for reasons that I do not understand. It should be called a game try double, but it's not. It's a maximal double, which means he's at the maximum of his almost went to 4 by himself hand. If that makes any sense. He's got 3.5 quick tricks and 2 5-card suits and stiff ace of hearts. You reevaluate that hand, it's going to be somewhere in the 17 to 18 point range. You'd like to know if you think you have enough after reevaluating your hand to go to game. And your right-hand opponent may or may not decide to help his partner, but might. Okay. Make it a little bit more difficult, but you were going to 4 all along and you still do. Now, that's the maximum that you can do. And from here on out, you pass. If partner doubles 5 hearts, it's for penalty and expects you to pass. If he passes 5 hearts, he expects you to pass. If he bids 5 spades, he expects you to pass. You've done your work. And good bidders don't tell the same story twice. So in this case, probably it's going to go all pass. It might be 5 hearts, and who knows what partner's going to do, but it's not your problem, it's his. Respect whatever decision he makes at this point. Now we're going to move on and see what happens at the 2-bid responder level when you have passed previously. We discussed that a little bit in our last video. We'll go a little bit more detail here. It's a little ridiculous, but let's assume that somehow everybody at the table other than your partner managed to pass these hands, and it's gone back around to you as a passed hand, and you think, oh my goodness, I not only have a limit raised in support of hearts, it's even better than that. What's a boy to do? Well, you don't have very many options. There are no forcing bids you can make. Like, you can't make a new suit forcing bid. Can't really make a jump bid that's forcing. If you've been 3 hearts now, partner's going to wonder what in the world you're doing. Might even assume it's preemptive. But certainly isn't probably going on to 4. But you want to be in game, in hearts. So what do? Well, you have a couple of options. First option, you can use Drury. And while I'm on the subject of Drury, in the last video, I mentioned that as long as there was an opportunity to bid Drury because they've either bid a spade over a heart or doubled over 1 heart or 1 spade, you could still use Drury. I have since been told by other teachers that they don't teach it that way. So a word to the wise, if you and your partner want to do it the way I taught it, which is the old normal, or the advanced, if you will, then by all means, it gives you more options. In the event that you're working with a new partner and you really haven't discussed anything other than, yeah, we play Drury, and then you rush to the table to start your event, do not assume that it's on in competition. Word to the wise. Now, what can you do? You could trot out Drury. You have 4 card support, and if you play the 2-way version, the Jones version, you can bid 2 diamonds with your hand, and your partner, having agreed to play Drury, would recognize it as such, and who knows, gonna do something, and then you can bid based on what your partner does. Bid 3 hearts if you're really not sure, and partner's going to know something's up. You're really trying hard, and is going to use every possible trick to trick himself into bidding game. The other thing you could do is just bid game. Pass, 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 1 heart, pass, 4 hearts. Nobody at the table other than you is going to know what you're doing, but that's okay. Partner already knows that you passed the first time, so he's not going to get excited. The final thing you could do, and again, this requires a little bit of work with your partner. Even if I had a new partner, as long as my partner had been around the block a while, a time or 2, I would expect him to pick this up. But you could splinter. This is a passed hand splinter, and it should be a hand that's kind of like this, that says, I've got enough for you to be in game, just in case you're huge over there, which you might be, because your hand is still unlimited. I want you to know that I've got a splinter bid in the club suit. So it would look like this. Alerted. And this is the one time when you can, well, one of the few times when you can really justify bidding a splinter with a void. And you really don't have any other options that are any good. So why not get everything off your chest in one bid, and then let partner figure out whether he wants to play in 4 hearts or 6 hearts, or bid Blackwood for hearts and find out more. That might be the next bid you hear is 4 no trump from partner. Anyway, wanted to show you that that's available, but it's one of the few things that's available to you by a passed hand. So be careful. Now, how do you avoid situations like this? Endeavor to open, especially in first seat. Second seat, you might pull the reins in just a little bit on yourself. But in first seat, try to find excuses to open, not excuses to pass. And you'll avoid situations like this. Here you have a beautiful limit raise, which you make. And now, rather than just be arbitrary, North wants to explore a little bit. So he goes into a control bidding sequence by bidding his lowest ranking ace or void. Now that's first round control. Some partnerships play first and second round controls, which would be the ace or a void, alternatively the king or second round control in terms of either the queen or king small, that sort of thing. I don't like using second round controls in partnerships that are not expert at declare play and defense and practiced in bidding. I think at this stage, the green belt level, you probably want to stick with first round controls only, so aces or voids. Now, the next step is that after North begins the control showing sequence, South either accepts it or says nah and goes back to spades. Once in a while, that shows the ace of spades. North can figure that out by looking at his own hand, counting up tricks and figuring out how in the world you got to a limit raise in the first place. And if necessary, and he really wants to continue, trots out for no trump, which he's going to do in this case anyway. But in this particular case, you've got the best limit raise in town. That's almost too good for a limit raise. 2.5 quick tricks. And some partnerships that would be too good for a limit raise. But here you made it. And now you want to cooperate, so you bid the 4 hearts, showing the ace of hearts. You don't have the ace of clubs. You don't have the ace of diamonds. Of course, partner's already shown the ace of clubs. So now, once you have bid 4 hearts and it said, I'm accepting your slam try, which is what this is, and want to cooperate, you pretty much committed the partnership to a small slam at this point. And so partner should now, sometimes they'll just bid 6 spades. Depending on the opposition, the degree of partnership trust. Not a bad thing to not have partnership trust if it's a brand new partnership. If you have an existing partnership, you know each other's tendencies towards declaring well or not. You're always going to find the squeeze, or you're never going to find the squeeze if you need one. Those sorts of things. So I might just go right to 6 spades and conceal as much as possible at this point from the opponents. But let's assume that this is a practice partnership and we trust each other. And so North is now going to launch for no trump. Blackwood, in this case it's going to be Roman key card Blackwood. Let me stop there for a moment and talk a little bit about the various types of Blackwood. The original Blackwood had 4 aces and then 4 kings. That has not been played outside of the raw beginner level, where you're just trying to introduce people to the convention. In practice partnerships at the flight B or above level, it hasn't been played in years. it's been overtaken by Roman keycard Blackwood, where you actually account for the trump king as a key card, and even the trump queen gets involved. Much better system. There are two ways of playing it. One is 0-3-1-4. Both of these affect only the 5 club and 5 diamond answers to 4 no trump. The 0-3-1-4 method says I bid 5 clubs to show 0 or 3 key cards, 5 diamonds to show 1 or 4. The other method, and the one that is most often chosen, the first method I just told you about, I think the bots and the system in Bridgebase Online still uses the old system, 0-3-1-4. But most folks now like to play 14-30, and there is a slight advantage to it. That means the 4 clubs says I have 1 or 4 key cards, 5 diamonds, 3 or 0, 14-30, which is a slam score, by the way. Helps you to remember it. The reason it's a slight advantage is that you still have a queen ask available in the event that only 1 key card is shown. Opener can still, or whoever bid before no trump, can still go back and say, well, okay, fine, but do you have the queen of trumps? And if the answer is yes, then we go to 6, and if it's not, we stop at 5. So that's a slight advantage. Some very, very well established, practiced partnerships who are really good at this stuff play it both ways under certain circumstances. You're going to hear about that. You can even read about that. Cantor wrote a full book about that. I would recommend that until you get to the black belt level, just play it one way or the other. I recommend 14-30, but your pod might play it the other way. So, you know, whichever way you want to play it, do it that way. But make sure if you go to the partnership desk and partner says, oh, Roman key card, and you go, well, yeah, but which version, 14-30 or 0-3-1-4? And they'll tell you. It should be marked on the card as well. Anyway, that was a long diatribe just to kind of introduce you. You're going to see videos on Blackwood and on control bidding to follow this video to go into more depth. But I wanted to just kind of introduce you to the general concept of how this is working. We start with the control bidding to find out whether or not we really want to continue. And if we like what we see, then we continue with 4 no trump. By the way, remember that the hand that is limited becomes crew and the other hand becomes captain. And do not grab the captain's hat away from the person who should be captain, because it really fouls up these auctions. Make sure the correct captain is bidding the 4 no trump, because that person is the one that will find the answers to be intelligible. All right, so let's just go on from here. Now, you have 1 key card in the king of trump, 2nd key card with the ace of hearts, and that's it. No queen of trump. The way you show that is by bidding 5 hearts. Had you had the queen of trump in addition to that, you would bid 2 with the queen, which is 5 spades. Again, don't worry about this. There are videos to follow in this playlist that will go into more depth. Okay, so we're okay on that. And it goes pass, and partner says, oh, let's see. Well, I know where the queen is because I'm looking at it. And you tell me that you have 2 key cards, which means you have the ace of hearts. And the only other key card that's possible is the king of spades. So why not just check one more thing? Let's ask for kings. Now, in the old methods, this was the number of kings, the same way that you would have done the number of aces. Modern tendency is to ask partner with the 5 no trump bid to show specific kings. And that's what you're going to do. You don't have the king of clubs, you don't have the king of diamonds, but you do have the king of hearts. So you'll now show it by bidding 6 hearts. Whoops. Let's not do that. Get an undo, please. You betcha. Now, there we go. So, partner, I have the king of hearts. What do you want to do? Let's see. We have the king of hearts, the ace of hearts. All of the spade controls are accounted for. I've got the top 4 diamond tricks. I have got the, wow, man, I ought to be able to get rid of that 7 of diamonds if I have to. I don't want anybody fooling around with trumps on me. I think I am just going to do 7 no trump. And that should fetch. There you have a full example of going through first controls, then Roman key card Blackwood. And we'll do the next one much faster. Alright, so who's dealer? West. West passes. Notice that in order to make these things work, really got to fiddle around a lot to prevent East-West from jumping into the auction. They will often do that, and then you will have to use other methods to get to where you're going. But we're going to show it pure here. All right, let's see. We have our same hand, so we have our same limit raise. And, well, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's a slam going hand if ever I've seen one. Once partner supports me with 4 cards, so, and shows a limit raise. So I am going to start a control bidding sequence. Now you'll hear these called Q bids. Kind of the old way of saying it, but it gets confusing. Try to call these control bids. It's a little bit better way of doing things. So partner's going to trot out his control bid of 4 clubs. You now show your control bid after this guy passes of 4 hearts. And partner says, ooh, that's pretty nice. At this point, partner could keep bidding controls because your partnership is now really committed to slam. But just to be on the safe side, I think partner at this point is going to put on his captain's hat and just bid 4 no trump. Roman key card Blackwood 1430. And you still have 2 controls without, so you're going to bid 5 hearts, and partner's going to say, okay, I've accounted for the king of spades and all 4 aces. might try 5 no trump and see what we've got. Whoops. Arg. Keep forgetting to make the east-west guys pass. Now we're going to show the king of hearts. Oops. Yep. And now, partner says, okay, got the ace king of hearts. I am missing the king of diamonds. Oops. Oops, oops. I think we'll bail out on this thing and we'll just try 6 spades. Might be on a hook. Ah! Now. We might be on a hook for 7. If we were in 7, we'd have to take the diamond hook, and it would fail in this case. So I like Barry Crane's recommendation, in which he really meant for team games. Said just don't bid grands in team games. But especially at the green belt level, when in doubt, don't bid the grand. If there's any possibility that it won't work or it's on a finesse, just bid set 6, and you should be at least in the middle of the field, if not in the upper half, because a lot of pairs at your level, if you're playing in anything other than a big open game, a lot of pairs aren't even going to get to slam. In a good game, they'll all get there, but some will go to 7 and be down in this particular case. So you might get a 60% on the board, maybe a little bit better. All right, let's see what we have next. All right. Hearts this time. Passing. And nice hand. 1 heart. Let's see, it's almost good enough to bid 2 clubs, isn't it? Except you only have 5 cards in the heart suit. So probably don't want to do that. Point schmoints. Yes. And you have 4-card heart support, don't you? Wow. And let's count your points. 4 and 3 are 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you're balanced. So you're not quite good enough to make the 2 no trump Jacoby forcing raise. But you certainly do have a very nice limit raise. Now, partner should get excited, okay? Because, wow. What's this? Let's see partner bid his hand from this point. Well, might as well show the club suit. Well, actually, I think at this point there's no point in showing the club suit. Let's just go ahead and bid our ace of spades, our control. And now you have no controls to show, so you would simply bid 4 hearts. And partner's going to have to work out whether or not he wants to go on from there. Let's look at one more possibility here, and this is a responder reverse. So North is going to open this one club. And East-West being vulnerable, I think most Easts are going to pass. Some might bid one spade, but we're going to not do that for this illustration. So now, South can make a 2-diamond call. West is not going to get involved. Probably North will bid 3 diamonds on this, saying, I'm really on a minimum here. I just kind of want to get out of this hand if I can. No 4-card major to show. And East is going to still pass. Now, this is the critical bid. South makes a reverse bid. Now, a reverse by opener typically shows a 2 bid or medium respond or opener hand. In other words, the 17-ish range, somewhere in there. That is not really a no trumpish hand. The reverse by responder simply shows an opening bid in support of opener. So I have an opening bid on my own over here, partner. I may or may not have support for you. I may or may not have better than an opening bid. But all you know right now is that I have more diamonds than hearts. I have at least 4 hearts, probably. Once in a while you make a phony reverse, but let's not get into that right now. Let's just do this pure. So you can play me for 5 diamonds and 4 hearts and an opening hand, and we'll go from there. Bids. Oh, I also want to talk to you for just a moment about Gerber, which you haven't seen here. Some people play Gerber over suits. Please don't. It just gets really confusing. Gerber should be played only in auctions that are clearly no trump oriented, where you know you're going to be playing in no trump, and the question is whether or not you should be playing in a slam or not, or just in game. And that would be a way to keep the auction low without using a quantitative raise. Gerber's kind of a tricky thing, and we'll do Gerber when we do no trump in a different playlist. There's also some things like redwood, minorwood, and all exclusion, blackwood, which I think are way beyond the scope of the green belt level, at least in this playlist. I might put them in another playlist at this level, or we might put them, reserve them for the brown belt level. We'll see. But they're more than we want to go into at this level. Anyway, I think we've covered it. Covered the spectrum in responder raises and given you a little bit more to think about. And at this point, just watch the rest of the playlist and hopefully by the end of it you'll have a pretty good idea of how to handle things.